The Dravathi called them aesthetic objects, non-functional, category decorative. That was on the intake manifest. I read it over archivist Senevral's shoulder while she typed, and I didn't say anything, because there wasn't anything that needed saying yet. The figureheads had been in transit for 6 weeks. 11 of them, carved from shipwood, the dense, close-grained timber they pulled from decommissioned vessel frames before the hulls went to recycling. Each one was the face of a ship that didn't fly anymore. Blunt noses, wide-set eyes, expressions that managed to look both patient and faintly amused, which I'd always thought was the right face for a ship to wear. They'd been the bow ornaments of survey vessels, courier ships, one old diplomatic runner that made the Vera Thoran run for 30 years before her drive gave out. When a ship was decommissioned, you took the figurehead. That was the practice. You didn't leave it with the hull. The archive on orbital station Solveth Orath was Dravathi administered, joint species in charter, and had been since the station changed hands 11 years ago. My job was to oversee the transfer of the human cultural objects collection, 43 items in total, and confirm receipt. The figureheads were items 31 through 41. Vral logged them in 12 seconds. Decorative, she said, to no one in particular. Her throat patch, the bioluminescent stripe that ran from her jaw to her collarbone, had gone to a flat, dim amber. On a Dravathi, that was the color of mild tedium. We'll place them in the auxiliary gallery. Foot traffic is low there. They won't be disturbed. I said that sounded fine. The auxiliary gallery was where they put things they didn't know what to do with. I'd been in it once, briefly. It smelled like recycled atmosphere and polite neglect. I signed the intake forms and came back the next morning for the formal review, which was a charter requirement. You couldn't complete a cultural transfer to a joint species archive without a senior archivist walking the manifest and issuing a condition assessment. It took about 2 hours for 43 items. The Dravathi were thorough, in the way that people are thorough when they've decided in advance that the work doesn't matter. Senior archivist Devrath Koss conducted the review. He was older than Vral, with wider gill slits and a deliberate way of moving that suggested he'd held his rank long enough to stop pretending to hurry. His throat patch stayed dim, amber the entire time we were in the auxiliary gallery. He walked the row of figureheads slowly, hands behind his back, head tilted at the slight downward angle that meant he was looking without really seeing. "These are wood," he said. "Yes. Carved wood. From the frames of decommissioned vessels, yes. It's a long-standing practice. When a ship is retired, the ornamentation is preserved." He said it without inflection, which on a Dravathi meant he was being carefully polite about something he found genuinely baffling. Humans attach significant cultural weight to the decoration of functional objects. We do. Even after the functional object is gone, especially then. He looked at me. His throat patch flickered, something between amber and a cooler gray, thoughtful, or possibly reconsidering the degree of effort required to be polite. "I've always found that an interesting characteristic," he said. "To invest so much in the symbolic. I said humans had always found it useful." He made a small sound that wasn't quite agreement and moved on to items 42 and 43, which were a navigation chart in a frame and a commission plaque from a station that no longer existed. He logged both of them without comment. At the end of the gallery, he turned back to look at the row of figureheads one more time. 11 faces, looking back at him with that patient, faintly amused expression. "Do humans genuinely believe," he said, "that placing carved wooden faces in an archive constitutes a cultural contribution, as distinct from, say, a storage solution?" I thought about that for a moment. "The Meridian Compact thinks so," I said. He looked at me. "I'll need the registration numbers updated in the station registry before I leave," I said. "The figureheads carry compact markers. It's a filing requirement. The archive's registry should reflect the current holder of record. It's just an administrative step. I can wait while your office pulls the file, if that's easier." Devrath Koss was quiet for a moment. His throat patch had gone completely dark, which I hadn't seen before on a Dravathi. I didn't know exactly what it meant. I had a reasonable guess. "The Meridian Compact markers," he said. These objects carry active compact markers. They're registered as cultural treaty indicators under Article 6 of the Meridian Compact." I said, "They have been since they were placed in the original archive on station Verathorath about 11 years ago. When the station transferred to Dravathi administration and the archive moved here, The objects transferred with it. The markers transferred with the objects. I paused. The compact records would show 11 years of continuous display in a jointly administered archive. That's the threshold for a standing territorial acknowledgement under Article 6, Paragraph 4. It was reached about 8 months ago. He was very still. The acknowledgement was filed automatically, I said. The compact registry accepted it. I have the confirmation number if you need it for your records. I did have the confirmation number. I had 17 pages of compact filing history, organized by date, cross-referenced by article, with the station registry discrepancies flagged in a separate column. I'd put it together on the transit out, 6 weeks ago, in the quiet way you prepare for a meeting when you already know how it's going to go. Devereth Koss looked at the figureheads for a long moment. 11 faces looked back. We were not informed, he said, at the time of the station transfer, that these objects carried active treaty status. The compact filings were in the archive's own registry, I said. Under cultural holdings, cross-reference to Article 6. They've been there the whole time. He absorbed this. The acknowledgement is immovable, I said. Under Article 6, it runs for a minimum of 30 years from the filing date. Removal of the objects from display would constitute a withdrawal, which would need to go through the full compact arbitration process. That takes, I checked my notes, which I didn't need to check, about 18 months on average. I see, said Devereth Koss. The good news, I said, is that nothing needs to change. The figureheads stay where they are. The registry gets updated. I file a completion notice with the compact office. They update the acknowledgement record, and everyone carries on. I smiled at him. They really are nice pieces. The carvers were good at their work. He looked at me. His throat patch was doing something I couldn't read. A slow, deep pulse between amber and the dark gray of earlier, cycling without settling. Yes, he said, after a moment. I can see that. I filed the completion notice that afternoon. The registry update took 40 minutes. The compact office confirmed receipt before I was off the station. On my way to the docking ring, I walked through the auxiliary gallery one more time. The figureheads were still in their row, 11 faces in the low light, patient and faintly amused. I'd always thought that was the right expression. I left them to it.